This is Karen Ranzi of Super Healthy Children, and I'm here today in wonderful Costa Rica at my Love Raw Food and Yoga Retreat with Dr. Fred Mushkat, a medical doctor who's actually a 40-year emergency room medical doctor. Fred, it's great to speak with you today.
Well, I'm thrilled to be here.
Yeah, it is wonderful here. I'm so excited to speak with a longtime medical doctor, and you're still practicing.
I am.
40 years later, in a field where many doctors leave, they get burnt out. And so that right away speaks to your amazing background as a medical doctor and your work. Can you tell me, as a medical doctor, how you went to a plant-based and raw vegan lifestyle and why you believe that that's important?
Well, I started out, just to be honest about this, we received no training in medical school. And even today, most medical schools don't have any training in nutrition. So this was all just done on my own, and I started on a spiritual path when I was in medical school, and as part of that spirituality, I thought that vegetarianism was the right thing to do because of the compassionate issues regarding not eating animals, and I became an ovo-lacto-vegetarian. I wasn't particularly eating healthy, but I was eating just non-meat, non-dairy, as much as I could, but I still ate pizzas and things like that. And when my wife Kat and I got together, she had a lot of food allergies, and it forced me to consider other pathways to try to just help her and to be with her so that we weren't on two different diet pathways. And she had a lot of problems with gluten, so it was a difficult thing to do, but I gave up eating breads. And eventually we became vegan around 18 years ago. And just for the heck of it, as we were trying different things to see if it would make Kat feel better, we tried some raw food. And I remember the first time we tried it, I think it was in 2000, 2001, we decided we would make a raw Thanksgiving. And it went from initially just Kat being interested in flax crackers to suddenly having a whole meal. And I thought, wow, this really makes me feel good. Additionally, to my great surprise, the cuisine was just so varied and different, and not cooking foods made things taste so much better that we found ourselves really enjoying it. So we would try a day of raw foods, then maybe 2 days, then a week, and it expanded. And the reason I stayed with it was for one simple reason: it made me feel good. And as I got older and understood things and read more, I realized that when I was a vegetarian back in the 70s, that I really wasn't doing anything better than a meat eater was doing. I was still eating a lot of animal protein. Eggs and dairy are all animal proteins, and what it comes down to, for humans, we weren't built to accept this type of food. And it doesn't matter what type of protein you're eating, if it's animal or egg or meat or fish, it's all protein, and that protein is not meant for human consumption. We're the type of creatures that have molars for chewing. We don't have molars for ripping. We don't have the gut for handling meat like a tiger would. We have the gut for processing vegetables like a monkey does. And it just made more sense, and it felt better, and our lives have just been so much healthier from switching to this type of diet.
Now, when you're practicing as an emergency room specialist, do you get any flack for the way that you eat?
I get flack from the people I work with, particularly from the doctors I work with, but not so much from the patients, because I very rarely tell patients. When patients come to the emergency department, it's really not about me, so I don't talk to them about that, unless they ask questions about diet or bring up something, or if I mention something that they might consider some dietary changes. But typically, unless they're very receptive, patients don't hear about it. But I get a lot of flack from other doctors who, throughout the years, have teased me about it. I've only met one other physician who was the sibling of a very famous yoga instructor who did green juices every day but was still on a basic standard American diet. But it's rare to come across other physicians. I wasn't practicing in Southern California, so it was rare to come across anyone who had any real empathy for what I did or why I did it, and they just thought it was foolishness.
Yeah. And what about people who are leading a raw vegan lifestyle and they have questions about it? There aren't a whole lot of doctors out there who really understand, as you're saying, there's not many who understand a raw, vegan, healthy diet. What should people do if they have a question about something? Sometimes issues do come up. I mean, it's also not always all about food. So, what can you recommend as far as people who are following a healthy raw vegan path and finding others out there who do have experience clinically to help them?
It's not an easy task. In a lot of the major cities in the country, there are people who specialize in this. And even in some of the smaller cities or small towns, occasionally there's a doctor who is on that pathway or who understands it and is willing to help. But it's a difficult thing. What I would suggest to people is find a doctor who isn't opposed to what you're doing. So if the first thing you say when you see a doctor who you tell you're a raw vegan and you have some medical questions, if they get on to you about your diet, you need to find somebody else. And sometimes the easiest way to do that is to find a doctor online. You can do Skypes with certain physicians on the internet that will give you medical consultations for one thing or another. It's not as good as having somebody at home or a nurse practitioner or a physician's assistant who can help you, but at least then you have somebody who's compassionate. But you should stay away from physicians in general who are opposed to this type of diet and are just going to give you flack for it and say, well, how can I help you? You don't eat steak or chicken or fish. We can't really help you here until you accept a normal lifestyle.
Right.
What they consider to be normal.
Or families can also run into problems with doctors who don't understand their lifestyle and actually want to report them. So, they have to be really careful. There are plant-based physicians, but like you said, it might be a good thing to just Google and find the right people.
And you're right. If there's a conflict in the family, having a physician who is not compassionate about diet at all, or even has a good understanding about any types of diets, then going to that person to try to resolve any problems that are occurring as an issue of the social issues regarding being a raw vegan and within a family is not going to help you. It's going to be divisive rather than helpful.
Interesting. Thank you so much. Great information.